Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Now, have you ever wondered what drives a man to become one of the most feared mob bosses in history? The name is Salvatore Toto Riina, a man shrouded in infamy, mystery, and dread. His life story reads like a chilling thriller, filled with power struggles, bloody wars, and heinous crimes. This is a man whose name alone could send chills down the spine of the bravest men. But who was he really? To understand Riina, we must first delve into the beginning of his story. Born into poverty in Corleone, Sicily, Riina's journey into the underworld began at a tender age. A harsh life painted over with the broad strokes of impoverishment, Salvatore Toto Riina was no stranger to adversity. His father and brother's tragic deaths in a World War II bombing left young Riina in a world of struggle and despair. With the heavy weight of responsibility on his adolescent shoulders, Riina turned to a life of crime. The allure of power and wealth, a stark contrast to his humble beginnings, led him to the doors of the Mafia. At the tender age of 19, Riina was initiated into this clandestine organization, marking the beginning of an era of bloodshed and terror. A new player in the game of power, Riina was not content to remain a pawn. His ambition and ruthlessness set the stage for a brutal climb to the top. Riina, now a part of the Mafia, began his ruthless climb to power. The 1960s and 70s marked the ascension of Riina as he orchestrated a brutal campaign to gain control. During these two pivotal decades, Riina's notoriety grew as he propelled himself to the top of the Corleonese family. His rise was not a peaceful one. It was marked by a bloody conflict known as the Second Mafia War. Riina, with an insatiable hunger for power, strategically eliminated his rivals within the Mafia. His methods were ruthless, and yet they were undeniably effective. One by one, his adversaries fell, creating a vacuum of power that Riina was all too eager to fill. Through this relentless purge, Riina eventually gained unchallenged control over the Corleonese family. This was a period of terror for Sicily. Riina's reign was characterized by a wave of violence and fear. He was the puppet master behind numerous terror attacks and atrocities, each one more horrifying than the last. His actions left a trail of destruction in their wake, from bombed buildings to innocent lives lost. Riina was a man who would stop at nothing to maintain his grip on power. But as Riina's influence grew, so did the attention of the law. His actions were not going unnoticed, and the authorities were beginning to close in. The stage was set for a clash between the iron fist of the Mafia and the long arm of the law. Riina's reign of terror had begun, but the law was closing in. For over 2 decades, Riina evaded capture, all the while tightening his grip on the Mafia. This elusive puppet master orchestrated the Sicilian Mafia's operations from the shadows, asserting control over the criminal underworld with a ruthless efficiency that was both feared and respected. His reign of terror reached a fever pitch during the notorious Maxi trial, a landmark court case in the mid-80s that saw hundreds of Mafia members and associates brought to justice. Despite this significant blow to the organization, Riina remained untouched, a phantom in the wind, his power undiminished. Riina, ever the cunning strategist, used the chaos of the trial to his advantage. With key players removed from the board, he seized the opportunity to consolidate his control, brutally eliminating rivals and dissenters in a wave of violence that would come to be known as the Second Mafia War. Throughout these tumultuous years, Riina's influence within the Mafia continued to grow. His directives, whispered from the shadows, dictated the ebb and flow of organized crime in Sicily. His nefarious deeds painted him as a figure of dread, a specter that embodied the very essence of the Mafia's dark allure. Even in hiding, Riina's power was undeniable, but every reign has an end. In 1993, the boss of all bosses, Riina, was finally captured. After over 2 decades on the run, the elusive kingpin was apprehended in Palermo. The long arm of the law had finally caught up with the man who had once seemed untouchable. His arrest was a significant moment in Italy's battle against the Mafia. The beast was caged, and the reign of terror that had engulfed Sicily for years was beginning to wane. Riina was tried and convicted for numerous crimes, including a spate of ruthless murders and bombings that had claimed countless innocent lives. He was sentenced to life in prison, a place far removed from the power and luxury he had once enjoyed. Behind bars, Riina's influence dwindled. His once iron grip on the Mafia slackened, and the organization began to fragment. The man who had once been feared and revered was now just another inmate, counting down the days. But even in prison, Riina's presence loomed large. His reputation as one of history's most notorious mob bosses was undiminished. In 2017, after 24 years in prison, Riina died. His health had been failing, and he passed away in the prison ward of a hospital in Parma. He left behind a wife and 4 children, a family tainted by his legacy. Riina's death marked the end of an era, but his story serves as a stark reminder. A reminder of the destructive power of organized crime, the cost of unchecked ambition, and the inevitable fall that comes after the rise. Riina's life, marked by violence and power, offers us a chilling glimpse into the underworld of organized crime. Yet within this dark narrative lie lessons that illuminate the consequences of a life lived outside the law. Riina's reign, while marked by power, was ultimately a journey of isolation and fear. His life stands as a stark reminder that the pursuit of power at any cost can lead to a solitary existence, devoid of genuine relationships. The atrocities committed under his rule echo the reality that unchecked ambition can wreak havoc on society. His reign of terror left countless lives shattered, a chilling testament to the destructive power of ambition. Moreover, Riina's eventual downfall underscores that no matter how invincible one may seem, justice has a way of catching up. The relentless pursuit by law enforcement and his ultimate arrest demonstrate that crime, in the long run, does not pay. Riina's story stands as a testament to the destructive power of ambition unchecked by morality.